want to welcome you to the Ask Jeff YouTube channel. Here's today's question, or actually questions. It says, in the book of Matthew, is it linear? Doesn't Jesus call Matthew in chapter 9? How does Matthew know of Jesus in chapters 1 through 8 if he doesn't meet him in chapter 9, verse 9? Well, excellent set of questions. Let's deal with them in the order in which they are written. Is Matthew a linear gospel? No, it's actually not. In fact, of the four Gospels, the only one that claims to do a chronological or a linear story is the Gospel of Luke, as referred to back in Acts chapter 1, verses 1 and 2. The theme of what we know as the Gospel of Matthew is Jesus Christ being the fulfillment of the Messianic prophecies. He is the, quote, King of the Jews. That's why that phrase, the kingdom of heaven, the reigning Messiah, is so prominent in the Gospel of Matthew. So, again, it's not necessarily a linear as much as it is a thematic gospel. Now, the next question is, well, how did he know about the first 8 chapters of information if he did not meet Jesus until chapter 9? Well, there's multiple layers there. John chapter 2, it mentions the fact that Jesus was going to tear down the temple and rebuild it in 3 days. The disciples were confounded. They were confused. But there's this little section in parentheses. They said that when they received the Holy Spirit, then they could understand. See, 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 14 through 16 says we can't discern the things of God until we have the Spirit of God. So again, not only do you have the Spirit of God coming into whom we know as Matthew, at what we know, the resurrection to the ascension, that era of his life. But then number 2, for 40 days after his resurrection, Jesus taught the disciples in all matters. So basically, they had this high intensity, if you allow me to say, seminary education with God in the flesh right there. So he would have had not only the Holy Spirit within him, he would have had the Lord himself communicating to him all matters. And then finally, 2 Timothy 3:16 says all scripture is inspired by God, meaning it was the Holy Spirit within him who communicated what to write. Whether Jesus told him personally after the resurrection or not is indifferent. You could ask the same question about Moses in the book of Genesis. There was nobody there when God created everything. In fact, humanity doesn't show up to day 6. But nonetheless, the inspiration of the Holy Spirit. Great question regarding the Gospel of Matthew that even expands to other books of the Bible as well. If you have a question, send it to AskJeff.net. Leave your question. It'll be tomorrow's. Thanks for being a part of today's daily question. Now, we answer a question each and every day. Please feel free to submit a new question at AskJeff.net. We may not have gotten to yours today, but we eventually will continue to be a part of this. Subscribe so you don't miss out on a question every day.